here. A round of applause. We're headed in. Ghost Lake. The first time Age of Mythology is here.
Oh, yeah, it is exciting, and we do have that Poseidon versus Uranus matchup. You know, it's interesting. I was thinking about it more from Mista's perspective that he would prefer Zeus here, but it does make sense now having Uranus, especially with how players have really started to figure out how to make best use of the Sky Passage and the mobility, and Caladria are actually exceptionally good at dealing with enemy cav and enemy raiding.
And this is tricky, right? Because like there's a double-edged sword here. So obviously each of the different factions that we have in Age of Myth has different ways of generating favor. Favor is going to be important for building mythological units, for getting access to god powers. It's quite intriguing the way the Atlanteans do it.
Yeah, the favor income coming in from those oracles as they stand around, the bigger their line of sight, the more effective that income is. And Uranus has extra unit line of sight, which means even more favor. So earlier access to repeated uses of Shockwave is a very important element of his kit, and oftentimes you'll see players adding in a few extra oracles in transition to the classical age.
You know, the fun thing I'm looking for here is I'm thinking about this on paper. It's quite crafty what Recon's done here. A big sticking point for Uranus pickers is the mid game, when you get access to Chaos, the skill that makes all units in range fight each other. And if you think about it, Poseidon likes to build cavalry. Now, the cavalry advantage is if you're in a bad situation, you can run away. If you're too busy beating the crap out of each other, the enemy army is going to get on top of you.
Yeah, it's interesting. Chaos actually isn't even the most effective in that case. It does the most damage when the enemy units actually counter each other, right? Which is, for example, throwing X-Men. They counter each other very, very hard. So if you get a group of them in that chaos, it can be really bad. Similar with maybe Prodromos, right? There's the options, Hypaspis, Vizsla. They'll just kill each other very quickly, and then down goes your army.
I think we've also seen it, especially in Atlantean on Atlanteans, it feels absolutely brutal because the meta there was to go Terma, cavalry archers essentially for those watching from AoE 2. We might actually see them come out a little bit later. For the time being though, these oracles are already getting a little bit harassed, and this is the nice thing about playing early onto these heroes. You can find and poke them, not only just going for the relics. I'm curious if we're going to get any high value relics in this early game, because they are random in the generation. Sometimes you get ones that trigger resources, sometimes it's buffs to damage for certain unit types, and sometimes it's discounts like that, which actually, Tar's Scepter here, pretty big deal, especially if Poseidon wants to go into a macro game.
Yeah, we'll see how that handles the first centaur on the field.
Poking him back, so Oracle loss is a bit tough. Can we check the vision actually on Recon, because this is very intriguing. There's almost like an art to the way you spread your oracles with this Civ.
Very interesting stuff here.
Oh,
You do have to scout the middle early on in the game, but wow, Mista's done a great job.
Yeah, only a corner camper up there able to stay alive, so not a lot of favored generation at this point in the game for Recon. We have got the Age 2s coming in quick. We warned you guys, 4 minutes in, already Age 2, and that is going to give him access to the Carnivore, which is one of my favorite early game god powers.
Yeah, the Carnivore is... It has its moments. It can be quite strong. Swallowing units whole can be very, very
Even an
potent at
elephant.
times, right? Yeah, it can be very potent at times. But on the other side, we have Ceasefire, which is probably one of the strongest classical god powers because it can be super good in a lot of cases. It counters Chaos that you were just talking about. You just countercast it, and that's one of the main timings here.
That's scary as well, because if you're getting denied on Oracles this early, you won't be able to get back-to-back Chaos casts, so that one Ceasefire is even more valuable for Mista here. Now, one thing we are going to be seeing, was it Oceanus he went on? I think we saw the Caladria coming out. We've been talking behind the scenes. This Caladria, this flying bird unit on the side of Uranus, feels like one of the best units in the early game for them.
Yeah, it's really, really solid. We're even seeing Winged Messenger. Again, I was talking to Misty. He said it's his favorite tech in the game, and he's getting it right away. That just gives you a free respawning Pegasus, and that makes scouting so easy. And you can see the Caladria there, that red beam. It's a time debuff on those units, slowing them both in movement and attack speed, so it can help swing a fight very effectively. And you can see it just makes those cavalry think twice about getting too deep into the economy of Recon.
And we already did the counteract down, the catapults coming out, of course, the infantry that will counter out against the cavalry, because when you play against Poseidon, you have to expect cavalry.
Yeah, it's one of the big devastating things, though, about this Hermes choice, right? It's one of the reasons why Greeks have been so dominant, just in terms of player favoritism and, like, the general feedback of the power of these gods is that you have the centaurs in the back line casting their volley, and it deals massive damage, and then it really swings the tide in the melee fight where these melee counters to cavalry have to be.
It's a tricky thing. I think historically in Age of, when the games first come out, Cavalry does kind of end up being the king, right? Because you have to learn how to react to it. You have to be patient a lot of the time here. But as you said, that's where this Gladiator can be really helpful. Love that little micro to Garrison on Garrison to get a little bit closer with shots in between. So you're noticing that it is going to be Mr. setting the pace, but I knew it. He does this every time. If you're not going to come out and play, he's going to start to boom. He's got a second TC going up now.
Yeah, but Recon knows about it.
The Carnivora! This did get nerfed. So this used to delete buildings, but its crush damage got reduced. So this isn't the end of the world for the second TC, but it is going to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah, we're going to need to see maybe a hero come back to clean this up. Eventually, the TC should go up, but it'll be quite hurt. But Atlanta is on the way, so we're going to be okay. Atlanta, the fastest of the classical heroes.
Just carrying a relic, you could probably feed off to the Carnivora. So that is going to be the God Power move. Carnivora used to be a lot more potent. When the game first came out, I mentioned crush damage, for example. Like, before the nerfs, it would have killed that town center.
Yeah, getting even the Nemean Lions. That's a really good relic. Players are very highly valuing it just because it's constant free units.
Same logic behind why he loves the Pegasus upgrade so much. And there is going to be a reflected idea of going for a second TC. Nice denial there with the Gladiator able to get the slow. So it is going to be a bit more of a macro game. And you know, when you think about it that way, that's something we know Recon likes. Recon has historically been more of a macro player.
Yeah, and we'll have to see where he starts putting these sky passages. I can see a good position on the left to that hunt there, keeping his units safe. It just gives him this global presence. At any time, he can hop villagers into safety, or he can even take riskier moves by putting them further on the map and then quickly come home.
It's kind of tricky for him that second TC option to the south was a bit further out because, of course, that would have secured him more food safely. But he has got that pocket spawn, right? In the east and west corner, we've got Gaia units that you can go harvest. I'm not sure if he scouted it because they are very recluse in the back there.
Yeah, definitely going to be an important back hunt to be able to save and use later. We do see the Pegasus for free now.
One of my favorite units, honestly.
That's so cool.
You know what it is? It's the bias as a kid of watching Hercules and the Pegasus character from that. Just love him. So, that's a lot of food actually at home. I didn't quite realize Recon got his hands on that much. A bit of a tricky one here because usually there is quite a lot of sheep that spawn around the center, and whoever gets there first has a huge edge. Yeah,
and Uranus has a pretty good advantage with that because you can just send 3 scouts and you don't really need to know exactly where they are. You just walk into them and capture them, right? So having 3 scouts there can be really useful. Unfortunately for Recon, he has nothing that shoots up in that situation, so the Pegasus might have been slowed down, but it didn't really bother him too much.
And he's starting to stack on the front side, so looking to apply a little bit of pressure and feel more free behind this. Of course, the Carnivore already being removed is a very big deal. The Shockwave can be dangerous, but it requires very specific placement and timing to maximize the damage.
And here we have it. The Terma to be able to defend now.
And you see the Centaur effect there, right? When it first got introduced, a lot of players thought it was a little bit underwhelming because it doesn't look that impressive at the start of the fights. But over time, that saturated damage from the arrow fire really adds up.
Yeah, and we can see a big difference here in that Recon isn't able to go to the food that he was looking for, and that has delayed his age up pretty significantly.
Meanwhile, on the other side, Mister is firmly on his way to age 3 already.
Yeah, this is going to be really, really potent.
Wait, that's Nemean Lion, right, he's going for?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a bit tricky, right? Because now that idea of you feeling quite content holding the catapults being in good position, if they just get stunned on the opening, there will be a surge through out of the Poseidon troops here.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I was talking to Mista about this, and he was saying that he kind of prefers Thea in a lot of cases. Now, Chaos is extremely potent from Hyperion here, which is going to be what Recon's going for. But he was saying that Thea honestly just has a better late game, better scaling, and just feels better long term. So Recon maybe just going for the really potent timings with Chaos and just trying to win a big fight and maybe win the game quickly.
I think he's also feeling pressured by the Nemean Liar presence, right? Because when that comes in with the stun, you always want to counterplay with the Chaos, so they're attacking each other and not just attacking you. It's a very big deal in these matchups. So.
But we talked about this a bit. The first Chaos might not be that good. If Mista's quick on the draw and doesn't have to waste Ceasefire, which he hasn't put his units in really aggressive positions, which is often something that Ceasefire enables. But when you have a god power that Ceasefire is very good against, it can be very wise to save it as much as you can, because Chaos just is completely nullified by Ceasefire.
Now, the interesting thing about Age of Mythology is in every RTS, preparation is key, but the way that Myth treats that preparation is different. When you consider that Curse is there, when you consider that Chaos is there, that Shockwave is there, you have to take a very different approach when all those god powers are on the agenda. And we're going to have to see how Mr. approaches it as he begins to march in. A little bit of harassment coming out, but nice Garrison the Mana to be protected. The Nemean line is definitely a particular issue here. It makes the initiation very sticky for Oranos.
It's kind of cute. You have the Nemean lion with his two little
baby
golden lion
kitties.
babies. And it's like, I'm imagining the Nemean lion is going to roar, eventually stunning the enemy. And I'm just expecting the little golden lions to go meow.
So nice trade on the backside. I like the idea there from Mr. that he has to be going for extra food soon, right? Otherwise, he's going to have to make a farm transition. And just like in any Age of game, farm transitions cost you something. They're not a free way out of your problems. They actually are a pretty big burden this early on the game. We have at least got a castle drop coming in on the gold, so that's going to give some longevity. Nemean Lion Roar is going to come out. They're looking at the pinch one, but unable to get it yet. So good reactions there at Recon to make sure he doesn't get slammed at all.
Yeah, it's been a really important addition of these Hypaspis from Mista to be able to deal with the Murmillo and both the anti-cap of Recon. So it's quite interesting here. A third TC.
Oh my god. And it's like not... naturally, you'd think this is more like Recon's, but the weird thing with the spawns on this map this time around is the settlements are kind of flowing you towards each other in almost a reverse direction. So this is going to be a cool staging point, though, because all the attention right now for Recon is on that north side. We saw him with the palace drop there to guarantee the gold, but it may be protecting gold. This south side, where he's got his food and wood, that doesn't really have the same layer of protection yet.
Yeah. You can see it's really smart play here from Mista so far. He's really not been grouping his units. He's been keeping them in smaller armies, trying to take these little tiny engagements, and that's one of the main ways to counterplay the potency of Chaos.
A few farms now coming in. I'm wondering, actually, is it going to be Recon to make the first move? I mean, his army... Do you feel like Caladria keep their potency?
TC4.
Are you kidding me?
But that's going to get spotted. This could be really, really bad for Mista if he's not careful. It's been noted.
There's also the potential for another Carnivore drop, which I would love to see here. Just on the
Where's his
backside, the
army?
body blocks.
This might have to be a Ceasefire usage.
He's close by. He could react quite quickly to this.
We could see a Shockwave on the Bills.
Recon's not immediately going in, though. He's giving time for reaction. However, it's slow out of Mista. He will pull away. The TC is not safe. However, he spots the army on the edge. This may force Recon back, especially the backstab. The rest of the cavalry is now coming in. The Centaur, a looming threat. Can he prevent this settlement from going up?
You see Mista trying to keep his army a little bit split so that they don't all get chaos together.
But the problem right now is look at what's happening for Recon. He's slowly being pushed into a corner. He needs to get out while he can. The palace on the east side should give him a retreat point. And in fact, another palace going up here is going to tempt Mista to probe. He's going to have to back away. And I think instead, we're going to see the Greek looking for some raids.
Yeah, and you can see that fourth TC has been secured. So eventually there might be a villager lead, but we're nearing max eco in terms of vill count pretty soon.
Shifts outside. I think he's about to get the bad news.
Yeah, I think he's about to find out the hard way that this is not a safe sky passage to build.
Oh boy. Actually, think about it.
Pretty clever. If he has one here, he could quickly rotate his army around. He could pressure...
The Benny Hills.
Yeah, he could pressure both of the TCs here by just hopping back and forth. But the response to this from Mista could be a well-timed curse. Could be just taking the fight straight up. He's going in. There could be a curse at any point. The chaos, the curse, the ceasefire.
But that's going to reset it full. That's so beneficial for Mista. The things he got out of that, the chaos is a really big deal here because look at the favor generation. Recon doesn't have another one in the chamber. So you have to be really content with that. Not only does he get the curse, but now he gets to eat his pig as well.
Yeah, the little pigs. Recon going to be giving up that food, but it is what happens. The ceasefire about to end. Are the players going to position for a fight? The Carbalist is going to be pushing forward, looking for a big volley at the end of the ceasefire. 3 seconds remaining.
Nemean line positioning is going to be important for this. Carbalista are going to start to shoot off. The shockwave is still available, and that's going to lead to hesitation to dive in straight away.
There's a small army taking out the palace to the north, though.
He's trying to force his hand, and the backstab comes in again. This time it might hit the spot. The roar comes through. The shockwave to split the formation, but Recon pinched from the back. It's distracted on both sides. Can he actually hold in this position? He pushes towards the north. He needs to reinforce it to the palace. It looks like it is going to be enough to keep Mista locked in position. And there is another roar coming up, but
Mr. doesn't have as much punch as he would have at the beginning of this.
Yeah, the 3 Satyrs just did so much damage there. They just get briefly stunned. But the reinforcer from Mista, are they enough?
Another line down. He's got no more stuns, he's got no more CC. He's going to have to start chipping away a little bit here to move on to the north side. It looks like the Palace did go down. That's why Mista wasn't able to overwhelm this fight. He split his forces, but the second wave coming in, there's not much of a front line left here for Recon. He's going to have to give way. He's going to have to accept that settlement is going nowhere, and neither is Mista.
Yeah, and now he doesn't really have time to apply any pressure here. He is loading some units into that Sky Passage, but I don't think he's going to be able to do too much offensively there. Actually, no, he thinks differently. He's sending everybody. He's sending the boys, switch the game up, change the pace. There's no ceasefire to buy time for Mista. There's several destroyers in the mix here. This base is going down so fast.
And he brings the Settlers as well. He's like, this is my home now, son. Get out of here. The question is, what's the response from Mista? He's trying to get the keep up there. In the meantime, he's going to start rushing in towards the goal location as well. So doesn't want to be left in the dust. He wants to make it a trade. And with the amount of siege damage he's got on this clump, that Palace could easily go down. I think you want to prioritize this Sky Passage first to stop them coming home. That could be huge here.
That could be a big moment. And honestly, notably, there's way more economy here for Recon.
Look at the reaction, Recon. He hasn't cleared the settlement yet. The Sky Passage is going to go down. He's going to have to forfeit the gold here, and likely he's going to lose his own settlement in this area because his response is going to be so slow now.
Yeah, but he's going to take this one down in just a moment.
But look at the military graph. It doesn't
it's snowballing so well for Mista.
This is insane. I mean, the Palace is just being ignored. He farms everything trapped on that north side. A lot of eco being lost here. A lot of military being lost. And now the Palace guard, the Palace going down, it means you're not going to have access to the gold. This TC that he started to set farms up around is not going to feel safe. And your reaction is going to be so slow when you consider he's full infantry comp.
Yeah, in Recon, he's just going to be walking back. Remember, they were like, remember the good old days when we could just teleport around the map? And now they're like, oh, this map is actually pretty big, you know? We made pretty good time last time around. But now the economy going down.
Gonna keep chasing. It's gonna leak over. That settlement unlikely to be able to hold. We have got the Caraballiste on the backside, just trying to poke at this. Another rook comes out, and it looks like that's it. He's found the workers on the south side. So poke coming in there. He will be able to actually protect against it, so no chip damage onto the Settlers, but the push continues, and it's starting to feel like Recon hasn't got enough army in one location to take a real fight here.
Yeah, we'll see if he's able to mount a defense here, but it's starting to look a little bit dubious. There's some idle citizens still in this area. The Nemean Lions have just been wrecking.
The poke is hard on the settlement. Finally, the Mamilo have arrived. The Roy is going to come out, it's going to trap a few, and immediately he blitzes through them, able to jump on with the Cav and keep on pushing. These choke points are allowing him to saturate damage with the backline of Arqueuses as well as the Caraballiste. But it's every time you look up at that bar and you see a double military lead. Yes, he's holding, but the reason he's holding is because a lot of that hasn't arrived for Mista yet.
Yeah, this is a really dominant position right now for Mista, comfortably, I think. But we'll see how this goes.
I love his patience as well. He doesn't want to throw away the lead a bit.
Yeah.
He calls it GG. Recon knows he's done. He's cooked in game number 1. Mista, a dominant opening game. But the hopeful element here is that Recon did not roll over and pretend to be a harmless kitty.
Yeah, no, that was a really interesting game there. I thought the Sky Passage play really did open things up, but then the fight there, it just wasn't quite there. Mista was able to afford having 10 melee units up there on the north, taking out a Palace, and eventually they finished it off and came and rejoined. In the meantime, he hadn't just been completely wiped in the middle.
And timings mattered a lot there, right? Like, taking that Palace was critical to enabling his gold surge. On top of that, he was fully aware of the Sky Passage play that was on the agenda. It felt like Recon needed another 30 seconds. If he got 30 seconds to that teleport across, he could have done some damage and he could have got back. But the swift swoop in by Mista was key here. It's what gave him the victory. And you saw Recon was almost hesitant to even try and get a few troops into that Sky Passage, because if you ungarrison half your army, you're doubled on the other side, right? You're going to lose the Sky Passage immediately afterwards, you're going to lose the army, and it's definitely GG. So I think in a way, Recon's reactions was correct there, but Mista already now proving like why he is the favorite person here on this stage.
Yeah, I mean, Mista, that was... It's hard to see the flaws there, right? It's hard to see what the weakness was to his strategy. From early Classical, he had map control. We saw that really early on. Recon was trying to take Hunt in different areas. Even the Hunt in the very back of his base, he had a manor for the 2 citizens back there, and they had to use it several times. There were 3 Hippocons and a Centaur running back there with Atlanta, of course, and they were just idling everything there, idling everything on the front, and it just kept kind of slowing everything down. We had a later timing to Heroic, later timing on all the citizens and the eco techs. It was just not fully there.
You know, we've already explored so much in just one game. There's potentially 4 more. There's just so much still to show off for Age of Mythology. But we're kind of in a bit of an ego chow here, because apparently Zoe and Riley just keep finding more incredible things in this castle.
Indeed, we've got another little spot to show off for you. We've been wandering around the castle, Zoe, looking for some of the really nice areas to show people. But this is an area that may be familiar to many viewers from a certain TV show.
That's right. There's no shortage of epic places in this castle, but this particular one, if you happen to be a fan of balconies and or sad ladies, you might remember the Olenna Tyrell scene that was filmed right here. It's an epic shot on the screen. It's an epic shot if you're just standing here.
That's right. It was Olenna Tyrell.
That's right.
Up on the front of up here.
A very emotional scene, just like what we're witnessing on stage right now. 2 friends going at each other. The favorite currently up at 1-0. It's very emotional.
Well, when we talk about emotions and loyalty and betrayal and also a lot of farmland, what better is there to talk about than the Mista taking out game number 1 in Age of Mythology? A lot of drama there, just as there was a lot of drama demonstrated when this castle was used in the filming of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we just keep the ball rolling, you know.
Yeah.
So everything is on brand here. I'm very excited to see if Recon can bring this one back. For Olenna Tyrell, it was too late, but for Recon, I still see some hope.
Yes, yes. Well, look, these players are both obviously playing their guts out. The Mista, I would say, favourite, obviously, especially with the 1-0. Getting up 1-0 in the first game.
But Recon pushed back, you know, like this was not a one-sided affair.
He didn't roll over.
That's right, that's
and
right.
It's good to see that Recon's got some fight.
Absolutely.
He's so lovely as a guy.
It's it's too wholesome, actually.
Yeah.
I hate what's happening. It's way too wholesome.
Can we just make it a 2-2 draw and
can just everyone be a winner?
They can they can share custody of the trophy. You
That's
know
right.
What I mean?
They're close enough.
They'd
be okay with that.
I'm sure that'd be fine. But look, it's been fantastic. It's incredible seeing little spots like this. There are some other places around the castle as well that people may recognise from Game of Thrones, but you know, even not considering the way that this castle has been used in modern media, it's a spectacular landmark here, and we're seeing spectacular games play out on the stage as well. So an incredible weekend, and Zoe, we better get back to wandering around trying to find the next place that we're going to show all the viewers.
That's right. We'll find something else for all of you. So thanks for joining us here on the balcony, and we're going to see you again soon, wherever we might be.
All right, back to the casters, and before long we'll be into game number 2 of our Age of Mythology Retold final here at Red Bull Wallaloo El Renado.
We've all been enjoying, like, just rolling our R's here. It feels so good.
El Renado.
El Almodóvar de Rio.
No. It's Renado.
Reinado.
Okay.
I
That's
haven't got enough there.
No.
But you know what? Hopefully these guys have got enough left in the chamber.
We probably shouldn't make too much fun of how to say it.
We're not making fun.
Because we're here.
We're trying to learn, man.
But they're all. Never mind.
You know, I went out on my way to learn Spanish in like high school to romanticize my girlfriend, and I gave her all these nice things. I was like, "¿Qué significa el mundo para mí?" And when I said it to her, she looked at me and went, "Huh?" And that's when I realized she was failing Spanish.
Oh, oof.
Because that means you mean the world to me.
Oh, that's very romantic.
And you know what? This grand finals means the world to me.
I think Recon has said that to Mista, by the way.
Probably.
Yeah.
Which is
maybe
worrying
back.
because
probably back.
Because they both got like partners. Yeah.
No, but it's a brotherly love.
I know. It's like, you know, I say it's a brotherly love, which is appropriate because they're kind of similar ages. Sometimes when I look at those two, it feels more like a father-son relationship, you know?
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it.
So, 1 map down, still potentially 4 to go. Thinking about what we removed, a big L for Oranos, which I think is a really big deal. Oranos can be a really big threat. We didn't get to see why in that game, and I think a big part of it was the opening from Mista ruining the Oracle plan, right? We never got that snowball factor of Chaoses. So now we dig a bit deeper. It sounds like it's not a big deal, just a 1-game lead. It really is, especially if Recon's plan was to be more experimental.
I think Mista also is just thinking, I want, like, comfort in this. He said, if I feel like I'm playing my best, I can't lose to anyone. And he said that very confidently, and I believed him. In that moment, I was like, yeah, but it's tough, and I think game ones, they just matter so much, right? It's so important whether or not you come out on top in that first game, and you just feel better. Going into game 2, you have the mentality of a winner, and we'll have to see if Recon's able to reset here going into game 2.
Now, we've shown off two factions so far, right? We've shown off the Greeks, we've shown off the Atlanteans. I'm curious, like, what does the crowd want? Do we want some Egyptian gameplay? That's not bad. What about some Norse? Do you guys want to see the Vikings?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that might get... What about more Atlanteans? Ooh.
Oh, whoa.
Okay, and Greeks?
Was there wait, hold up. Can we go back? Was there a single fan of the Atlanteans?
No, but we need to check for Greeks. Any Greek fans? Okay, that's done okay. They
But
want
can we
Norse.
go back? Can we go? Well, okay, they want Norse. Oh, yeah.
No. Get over the Atlanteans.
But I kind of want to hear it again. No.
So that's cool as well. I love that they cheer for Norse because there's more Norse gods than any other faction in the game right now due to the addition of Freya. I kind of want to see him do Freya. I know Mr. believes in this. He also believes it's a highly technical faction, possibly the hardest one to play, but when played right, the most OP.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just going to default to Loki, though, because that risk of being a bit harder to play, maybe he can come up with something that Recon hasn't seen him practice yet, but Loki is just so dominant in the pro leagues right now.
I think what you do here is you try to thin the draft, because we know, like, if you think of aggressive civs here, Recon's probably thinking like Set, right? So if you can get him to use the Set, then if Freya has to play into, say, Gaia or Ra, that historically are a bit more greedy, a bit more chill, it allows Freya to really come through that late game where he's a real threat.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, I was talking to Mista about like what his thoughts were on the draft, and he was saying that he didn't really want to pick any Atlanteans, which is why, he's got to be feeling so comfortable, right? Like, these are his like top 5 gods, maybe top 6, right, with Odin banned.
So Isis was number 2 for him. Freya was number 1. He rated Loki's
Poseidon.
3rd, Poseidon's 4th. I think he put
Zeus as a comfort, right? But
I think he put Odin maybe as 5. I'm not sure if Zeus is there.
Zeus is comfort, Odin
And
is
Hades
power.
was 6th.
And Hades is 6th, right? So he got like basically 6 of his, like he got what he wanted here with this draft, which is still incredible to me.
Meanwhile, Recon, he rated 4 really highly, if I remember correctly. Loki was high pro. Isis was very high pro. It's kind of crazy to see how little he got of what he thought was like the 5 best. I think he kind of mentioned Oranos as a special pick, but he didn't see it as a reliable top 5. It requires a specific condition, and we saw the effect of that, how difficult it can be to execute.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of the potency of Uranus right now isn't in a fully rounded kit. It's really hammered into chaos, right? Players are really abusing that to make it function at like a really high level, right? And we saw Mista just confidently, like he knows how to outplay chaos, right? He said that very confidently for a long time, and we saw him do it there. And like I'm just looking at it, Isis and Loki left like 2 S tier gods right now, right? Like he has 2 S tier left.
And it's tricky as well, because like things like Mirage is a phenomenal map for Isis.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
And I don't think you want to go Gaia against Isis here. It feels like Isis has a better pace there, right? So I think Recon, he really has an enigma to solve here to get the map draft more succinct for him now.
Yeah, I mean maybe.
Hey, what's up, Wolf Fantasy? I love these camera shots in the crowd.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I just want to like cast just a god power on you guys out there.
Yeah, I'm wondering like.
Anyone volunteer for Bolt? No.
No.
Lightning Bolt? Anybody? Oh,
There's
we got
one person with the hat right.
Yeah, there
Gone. I mean, that's a weird thing to volunteer.
Yeah, that's a little sad, actually.
I'm kind of curious. I'm looking for the group. Like, if we chaos them, who would win in a clump? I mean, we got another one who wants to be bolted. Have we got any like really beefy people? If we were to cast chaos in the crowd, like you just win. Okay, we've got a big volunteer at the front there.
Oh wow!
I reckon he could take a few.
He's ready.
The thing is, if you got chaos anywhere near Mista,
you have to run.
Yeah, you have to run.
You have to run. He's fast. You don't expect it, but he's fast.
He never drinks.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, he's completely devoid of all vices, I've heard.
Mm-hmm. His vice is farming and Age of Mythology.
Yeah.
Ah, dude, the Medusa. I'd like to see a Medusa. I feel like we're not going to get to see one.
Maybe. I mean, if Zeus gets played, like, it's very strong, right? The unit is exceptionally good backline damage, right?
Do you think Zeus is going to get that far in the game, though?
We've I mean,
if
kind
it goes
of,
macro?
you try to, right? You try to.
Pops the hopium.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to see. We've got this historical place, an incredible place, and then we just got Red Bull everywhere. And you'd think it would ruin the atmosphere of like, oh, you've ruined my medieval car. It doesn't to me.
It looks so cool.
It looks incredible.
It is so cool. Every time they do these big panning shots of the castle, I just go, wow.
I kind of want to sneak up in that tower and steal that flag.
Just wave it around like, yeah.
Yeah. Like, try and run up the hill. I'd be out of breath about 5 steps.
You know, they
incline.
have some bow and arrows in the courtyard, right?
That's true.
Just imagine T90 and Dave are up there with the bow and arrow. You can't get up here.
T90's archers somehow end up in the entirely wrong location.
Maybe. they're back at Heidelberg.
I said, can I have a go? They said, we don't trust you.
Yeah.
So, thinking about the schedule as well, like I want it so badly. I just don't think we're gonna get to see Cerberus. I'd love to see Titan so much. It's my childhood in a nutshell. I still to this day call Age of Mythology a top 3 all-time RTS campaign ever.
Yeah, it's incredible. Honestly, this angling of that screen kind of looked scary. Like,
right.
Mista was just like staring down.
I think they've done it. What they need to do is rotate him to face Mista.
Yeah, right. Just like kind of like lean over him. And the Pegasus should be way up high, right? Flying overhead like the drones.
No, but he wants to be here. He's like, you can do it, Recon. You got this. It's actually kind of interesting the way they develop this as well. Like the quality of the models. Like when you scale them up like this, I'm impressed at how well they look because that's from in-game, right? And it's wild because when you think about strategy games, you don't want to usually make the 3D models look that good because people aren't going to get close enough to see them. But I think Myth done a really good job of balancing that. I love Ajax in the campaign. Like, if there are people here who have not picked up Retold, and you're a campaign lover, what are you waiting for? It is still one of the best RTS campaigns all time. So, potentially 4 games to go. I'm wondering what Recon's mindset is in this moment because I know that he can sometimes get a bit too much in his own head, right?
Yeah, there's definitely potential of that. He does have that element sometimes, and he's aware of it.
You know what? Maybe cheer him up. Get some twos in the chat for our Trash Panda, our resident Trash Panda. It's not every day you have people who are playing in multiple Age of games. I mean, it's tough to do, especially when you try to get the lands like this. But the guy has some potential. You know what I love is either one of these guys, you catch them, you talk to them, and they, true nerds, they just say the most random, it's not random, but like out of nowhere, they give you a strategy out of nowhere, and the eager glee on their face is like, you can tell that they breathe this game, but they also evolve it in a way that they're not just playing, right? They're living it.
Yeah, while we've been here, I'm pretty sure multiple times, Mista just taps me on the shoulder and goes, hey,
do you know?
Do you know about this strategy on this one map in this very specific matchup? I played it once 3 months ago.
And we have confirmation in. It is gonna be Blue Lagoon. So a very interesting map, actually, because this map has a tendency to kind of push your settlement options towards the center, and there usually is a lot of food desirable in that area as well, right?
Yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. I'm curious to see the God picks. I think I have a suspicion.
We're gonna get some cert?
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's a Greek showdown.
The Greek showdown.
We've got confirmation in. You talked about the potential for Zeus to be coming out. It seemed a bit questionable in the draft, but Recon is here to answer our queries because we are going to be seeing Hades versus Zeus, which the crowd is going to be disappointed. They want Norse, but that does mean you might get like a double Norse down the line.
Yeah, we'll see how this pans out. Looks like we have a quick pause. Players stretching their hands.
And yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting with how narrow the angles of approach are through the mid-map on this particular map. We're going to have to see like how the players leverage that. But let's talk a little bit about the wider scope of this matchup. Hades versus Zeus. It used to be that Zeus was the aggressor back when we had those initial Minotaur builds. Has it changed now with the meta? Are we seeing more maybe of a macro game potential out of the two?
Well, Centaurs are like essentially essential, right? So you're going to see Recon go Hermes, right? But it's interesting. I think for a while people would, and people probably still do, consider Hades to have like just one of the best late games, but it doesn't feel like as oppressive as it used to be. So we'll see if that comes into play here.
We need to make that raccoon look a little bit more aggressive.
It looks so cute.
Get his teeth out.
He's kind of got like a power stance, you know?
They should have done 2 flags, like printed on each side, and you flip it over, and it's just like Wolverine mode, right? The claws are out, it's looking like it's ready to attack. Because this guy might look adorable, but when he's backed up against the wall, he will beat you down. And wave to the camera, folks. There we go.
Woo!
Oh, that banner, blast from the past.
There it is.
We're almost filled up. It's crazy to think how quick this day is going, and we still have another grand finals after Myth, the big one that I know a lot of people traveled from around the world for. A best of 9 grand finals for Age of Empires 2.
Yeah, and it's honestly one of the most iconic matchups in the game right now. Oh my gosh, look at the crowd. They're getting hype. Whoa!
Don't hit us.
Hello.
I kind of want the drone operator job. He's having a blast.
He's just having fun.
I was like, you know what? Just go between the crenellations. Like, make a course for yourself, right?
Yeah, right.
Oh, what a cool career that must be.
Oh, you can see the player still intensely thinking, getting set up here.
It's kind of frustrating when you know what I'm talking about, when the game pauses, like, because you get in and maybe something has to be sorted. It has to be sorted, but in that moment, you just want to go, right? Because, like, you've set in motion what your thought is. And I remember I was talking with the boys from Age of Empires 4 before the Grand Finals, because they played some, but they didn't want to play too much. And I was like, yeah, because you can over-prep. That is a thing, right? And it's like, in this situation, if you're sitting here a long time, you can overthink. You kind of just want to go brain dead for 2 minutes and not really, like, add additional thoughts into the strategy.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you don't want to overthink it, right? You don't want to overcomplicate the game. As Mista often says, the game is simple, right? You just have to know what to do. And he makes it sound easy, but it isn't. Hello.
Some local football club fans? Oh, sorry, soccer.
Soccer. Yeah.
No, you're in Europe, mate. You gotta...
I know, I can't call it that here. I have to be careful, you know?
Do you reckon we get to yoink those little rams?
The little rams on the stage?
The rams
they do
are
look quite cool.
But you know what? It's time to lose your course. Time to go crazy. Game number 2 of the grand finals of Age of Mythology Retold. It's a Greek showdown between the Greek and the Brit here. Hades in the hands of Mista, and Recon equipped with the leader, the Pantheon, Zeus.
Yeah, it's interesting here. Immediately casting Sentinels is an interesting choice, right? Sometimes you see players like to save it in case they do go to a second TC, and oftentimes players will hold it just because of the mind game element, right? You don't instantly cast it so that your player doesn't know your strategy yet, and even if you're going 1 TC, you just cast it when you need it. So immediately casting it here.
You know what the simple thought is? It's like, you know, walls, right? Like, if you know you need walls, okay, you need walls, but you don't need to build them at minute 1, right? Wait a few minutes. I agree, it's kind of similar there. So curious what the thought process is. Armor improvement's going to be quite nice with the Anvil. The house hit points, it's very situational. I do think the Eye of Onlu should be pretty effective in this matchup.
Yep.
Especially when, I feel like in mirrors you usually often see them kind of do the dance, the triangle of units, more often than when you've got clashes between different Pantheons, right? So, with this map spawn, is there anything curious you're seeing? Like, obviously we've got the Sentinels on the starting TC, kind of a curious opening. Usually we see this type of play when it's a 1 TC attack point for Hades. Is this a good map to take that approach?
I really like just the base for Mista, right? Like, it is just gorgeous. Like, look at that. He's got a gold with a wood line all the way to the edge here. The temple placement totally blocks that off. That's such a safe location for the economy.
And the back food near the pond, right? So easily wallable. Just drop a house on that east side. I think it would actually block rotations.
Yeah.
And the natural terrain. Good lord.
Interesting as well. We're actually getting an Athena mirror here. I would have maybe thought Centaurs would have been the play, but no. Interesting.
What do you think the priority here is by going into Athena? Like, we know it's infantry focused, but is there something specific both sides are looking for?
I mean, Restoration is such a solid god power, right? It's so good.
So I guess we're probably not playing cavalry, right? Because I think Restoration, I mean, it makes sense as part of the infantry Pantheon side, because you are going to get more value when you are stuck more stagnant in the fight than if you could just kite.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the play is. Scouts scouting the map as we get into this Classical Age in just a few moments.
Big deal as well this game, right? I honestly feel when you're in a best of 5, game 2 is the most critical, because if a person's 1 up, you don't want to have back up against the wall. It means you have to take every best tool rather out of your kit. You can't hold anything back. So Age Up begins. Minotaurs waddling like penguins across the map. One of my favorite units, just because of the attack knocking people around with ragdoll physics.
Yeah, and the attack is so funny when it comes through. Like, units just get sent flying. It's a great time overall.
They got nerfed, like, was it 2 or 3 times post-launch? They got nerfed a lot.
strong boys, but here they go. They're just going to go straight in under these Sentinels. The Minotaur not caring.
Ajax already waiting though.
Going to be there to defend.
Yeah, but the Minotaur is still sneaking on the other side, right? So Mr. Was he expecting a second town center? He's scouting quite thoroughly into that northern corner.
Yeah, the second TC timing is going to be quite important, but I mean, look at the macro here. This is not even on gold.
No.
Interesting. At least for now. Is he building a settlement in his base? Yeah, he's building the village center there. I was like,
okay.
Where did he build it? I was like, he pulled everybody off of resources. Where did he build this? So going for a hyper defensive play here. These 2 Minotaurs on the front, and I think a third one was also trained already.
It explains the Sentinel play now, right? Like, this all comes together. It makes a lot of sense. Second Minotaur is already in location, and this is crafty. Mr. is hiding a Minotaur in the northern corner. He's waiting for Recon to extend, and then he's going to look to dive the back.
Yeah, but behind this, Recon could just take a real TC, right? And that's kind of the big difference and problem if you do go for this build, is that you're kind of holed up in your base, and your opponent can follow up with a real settlement socket, and it actually trains bills even faster, right? So these village centers, it's not as good as having one on the sockets on the map.
But in fairness, if you look at the position for Mr., he sees, oh, Minotaur's moving in. He's got a scout on the south side, so he'd know when the second one's coming. And he's going to look to jump on the gold while Ajax is distracting at home. But great reaction there. Recon immediately pulling away before any damage is done.
He still has Bolt if he really doesn't want to deal with this, but he's actually going to let this happen. And the Bills get bonked around. Bonk, bonk, they go. And Vaults of Erebus as well came in there during that for Mista. So that's the unique Hades upgrade, which gives you a good trickle of gold. So even further extending this Vil lead, you can see he's up by 1 right now, but it's a bit higher than that.
That was great micro as well from Mista. He intentionally got on the side of the mining camp so he could shove them into it, and they rebound off so they'd be further away from safety. This is the thing I love about Age of Mythology. There's such skill expression in simple, basic tasks. Cyclops as well is another one where you can hurl units and they will do damage where they land. So just so many succinct little details you have to keep an eye out for when you're watching this phenomenal game.
Yeah, but the damage hasn't really been there yet for Recon, and he has invested heavily into this Minotaur play. We're going to have to see when eventually he's able to do anything against this defense from Mista, which so far has been impeccable.
Bull Minotaurs could eventually become a problem. It's just the normies at the moment for Mista, and not really in a position to make any sort of quick transition. So I'm curious to see where he's going to lean next. He just seems to be playing very greedy, relying heavily on the fact that the Sentinels should be able to protect him, but we always have to remember the Restoration will be available to top off these health bars later.
Yeah, but if they're in combat, that health income is cut in half, I believe, which means you got to be very careful.
You just min-max them, right? Like, peel them one by one, keep them back low HP, and then top off. It's a bit tricky, I guess, in a mirror like this, because when both players have Restoration, it means your opponent has an edge when you finally commit. And this is
Achilles is on the field. The Minotaurs have to run. Achilles going to be chasing them down here.
Oh, Bolt
gets
comes
bolted
out.
though.
He has to do it. Ajax is still annoying on his own, though. It feels like Ajax is holding back an entire army with just a tower to assist.
Oh, and the Bills get bounced back off the granary.
Hero's almost dead as well, which would be problematic because it means that the Minotaurs could come in to assist from Mista.
Oh,
so Edge is out with 14 HP left on Jason. We've still got that Bull Minotaur on the north side, and we have a shuffle out actually on the west corner. Recon has snuck out for some economy. Mista was close by, but I don't think the scout saw this.
Yeah, I'm curious as to what Recon is actually going to macro towards. It looks like maybe in a bit of wood he could slap down a TC of his own, right? But at this point, he's going to be pretty far behind. He might end up being 10 Vils behind before he places that before the TC finishes, right?
Achilles is coming in again, though. And now you don't have to worry about that bolt. It's so expensive to try and recast this ability. 65 favor required. No way you're getting anywhere close to that, especially when you've been trying to spam out more Minotaurs.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting here from Mista to delay Achilles so long. You would think you'd need him right away, but he was just so aware that bolt was the thing. When Recon didn't cast it on the Minotaur in his economy, that would have been like a free, just,
it was so
just take it out, your Vils don't have to idle, but he waited, and that's because we all knew, well, they both knew that it was for Achilles. And so he waited until he had a bit more economy, right? As long as he isn't taking damage, it's okay.
Well, the age of game may change, but the fact that we love clubs does not. Heracles is now in the field, so something as beefy as Ajax basically gives you a bit more dive potential, but I wish we had a damage done statistic for that Sentinel. He's really been carrying the defense here for Mister.
Yeah, and here comes Recon's age up, so that's what he's been saving up for. We'll see if he can get some timing here.
Mister, good micro back here. He's baiting the dive, and the restoration is key here, right? Like this, we talked last game about things like Curse and Chaos and the ceasefire and how that layering the cake matters. Restoration really is the true king when it comes to Greek Mirrors.
Oh, Achilles is now on the O here, looking at some offensive things. Are those all hurt? Minotaurs, there is that tech for Apollo that lets your temples heal.
Achilles.
Oh, Achilles
he's
on the
found his
Bills.
target. So
That's a low HP Bill who took some damage from the Rhino. And now all of a sudden, Mista extending his villager lead even though he has less units on the field.
This dive is looking up.
Another Bill is going to go down here unless all the...
Tech up is on the way as well. Mister, he's actually pressuring while teching behind this, so this is a brilliant position. He forces the entire army home. And you see how big of a deal that restoration is. You'd think anyone would just pop it at this stage. He can't afford to unless he can bait it out of his opponent first.
Yeah, it looks like he might be waiting for more value or maybe getting that Apollo healing tech around the temples.
It's crazy actually that Recon techs up first while having this type of military lead still though, right? Like, it's pretty damn phenomenal. Just shows you how good the Sentinels are that an army this big can't really commit into the base either. Yeah,
I think we're getting that tech right now, so that healing is going to be really useful there. Also, looks like he's queued up Sarissa.
So Temple of Healing. Is there any world in which you kind of try to get more forward temples just for that healing so you don't have to run all the way home?
Yeah, maybe. I haven't seen players, like, I've seen players get it in situations like this a lot. I haven't seen too much exploration around that just yet, but I'm sure it'll be a natural evolution of the game eventually. You can see Achilles just getting so much value now that Bolt has been used, and here's that healing coming in. So it acts as like a little mini healing spring now. It used to heal one at a time, but that's one of the updates and retold. A lot of these minor god techs have been made pretty major in their impact, right? So they're called minor god techs because they belong to a minor god, but they really do heavily influence the game, and we can see now that Minotaur count has gotten scary, scary high.
Yeah, and it looks like we are going to get Mister going for the Toxote, but this is kind of awkward sometimes. You know, I talked to him, I talked to a few players about this. Sometimes Hades, like trying to mass Toxote after going age 3 feels weird, right? It doesn't feel like it hits as hard as if you just done it in age 2.
It can still be really good, but yeah, no, for sure. And Mista on his end, he has Underworld Passage now. That's one of his favorite god powers. I think it's probably one of the most strategic god powers in the game. You have to use it really well in order to win the game with it, and that's kind of how the god power feels. Like if you use it poorly and it just dies, it can feel bad, but we got the big stuns coming out. The Hoplite's gonna have to run here. The Nemean Lion slapping down with the stun, but there's some reinforcements, maybe enough to make Mr. Reconsider, and there you see the army of the Minotaurs. They are going to come forward. There's going to be blood.
They're adorned in gold, and the funny thing is the military gap is closing, so Mister's getting present with army, and with good kiting, this could become a slight issue for Recon. So he really needs to get his timing right on this dive. Fortress Secure is going to look to go up on the east side. Dive's going to come in, but the Curse is immediately there to deal with the initial wave.
Yeah, but we still...
Talk about the Nemean, like you don't really want to have to waste the launch a few units, but you want to be on the south side, but instead the dive is coming in away from the line defense. So good hit around the flank here from Recon. Eco's on the front side. Restoration is going to be popped on the aggression, and a reactionary one coming out too. But villages undeniably are going to be going down here, and it feels like Recon is getting more than enough damage to take a lead off of this.
Yeah, we'll see if the Minotaurs can stay alive to deal damage to villages after this. It's going to be a bit tricky. The heroes are still focusing them down.
The archers have dealt with that. I feel like the archers are trickling in, right? There's no mass blob that's doing good damage, and it's problematic because you can't blob. You've got Minotaurs to deal with, you've got Chimera to deal with. These units want you to stack your army all together, and I think that's where Mister is struggling to get a wide enough spread that he'll still keep his impact.
Mister really struggling here with the oppression, the aggression here. The Minotaur count is going down though, and keep them look at that villager count though. Keep that in mind, right?
There is a small raid coming in though. I don't think this is going to be an impactful enough one.
Is it a raid or just a scouting party?
It's a defector. He's like, yeah, you guys are winning. Can we join you? I would love to see Recon just drop the under passage now. Just like get that quick TP across the map, because you actually have a fantastic staging point that you could hold on to outside of Mister's base. But instead, looks like he is just going to fall back, content with the damage he's done.
Yeah, and the army there, You gotta wonder if he needed to deal more, though, right? He's still down in Vills. He still hasn't added that second TC. And this whole time, that Village Center just been cranking out villagers for Mista.
I mean, 66 to 48, I believe, right now. It's a lofty lead in this situation. Military is about neck and neck. The walls are going up, though, so Recon... It's kind of a signature thing. Like, I remember the first time I watched a Myth game and it had Recon in it, I was like, oh, there's walls and there's trade. Yep, this feels like we've come home.
Ajax gonna have to run away from these hoplites, but it might help him spot this wood line, which is in a pretty precarious location.
There is an opening down the center near the main entrance to Recon's base where you would send troops. The rest has been walled up, so not as easy to access.
Mist is up 40 pop right now. This could be a crazy fight right now.
I mean, what Recon needs is a top off at the temple. He needs to basically leverage the fact that he can heal his units efficiently, and that's not something
the Manticores,
do, but
the shot not really going to land there. The heroes, are they going to get damage in? Not quite.
Chiron also now a big threat, even to that backline Manticore. If you can scale the Manticores up to about 4 or 5, I think they're a really solid solution to max Toxicity. Just kind of snipe out the clump, right? So at that point, you're less reliant on Minotaurs and more reliant on Chimera that historically at times have looked absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, if you haven't played much Retold here, these Manticores have this special effect where it's essentially like a big Mangonel shot. So if you get a group of them, they can all attack at once and just take out huge clumps, especially of these archers. Tox in the back, going to be susceptible to this special attack there. And we're going to see Recon looking for those attacks, but Chiron going to be looking to snipe them back.
It's tricky as well. Like when you play Toxicity, you can't get on the Manticore, right? Like it's if you had cavalry, you feel content about trying to poke and probe. I love this though. Instead, now we're gonna see Mista peeling north side with the archers. He's assuming there's been a move up to the goal, but with the walls already in position, we can see that Recon is playing it a lot more safe.
Yeah, but like he's down in eco, right? And we have Mythic coming in for both players, but is it gonna be enough?
Looks like both are gonna be going up with Hera here.
No, that's Artemis on the left.
Oh, sorry, I'm blind.
Yeah, it's
I'm blind.
quite small. I know. For us, these icons are very,
sorry,
very
Artemis
tiny.
versus yeah. Right. So, any clear edge on one side with this tech up? Do you think?
Well, with Artemis, you're looking for an earthquake that could potentially end the game. And Mista's home base. Can we actually pan around Mista's base?
It's quite blocked.
Susceptible there.
Oh, we're all coming out.
But Hera, a lightning storm here could be huge. It's going to come down to how this goes.
Toxicity trying to poke away at this, but you will notice on the side we got those Manticore probing. Not enough damage though. The roars, the maim, the slows is trying to walk away from the melee. It's problematic here. Recon needs to buy more time. Tech still about 35 seconds away. So I think he's going to have to shift away. Mista has that defender's advantage. He does have the numbers, and you can't afford to be throwing away these valuable Myth units right now as Recon.
Yeah, you got it backwards first, then I got it backwards second. Yeah, this is Hera coming in for Recon. So Lightning Storm here could be devastating, right? Probably not so much there, but on this main army, maybe even on the Goldvilles here, this could be a devastating location.
The fortresses, though, as a reaction to that potential is really cool to kind of consolidate his location here. When those lightnings come in, you could try and dive into the keeps to feel protected, but here we go.
There it is,
he
on the main army.
Tried to shift away.
Is it up north?
It's here. It's just taking time. It has to build up. So the snipes are coming out. The Manticores arrived. He's tanking the entire army. It's not going to be good enough, though. A lot of losses here at the beginning for Mista. And Recon now in a position to push north side. One of those fortresses.
Earthquake on the main of Recon.
Farm's in trouble. This could be big. He snuck in with Chiron to get the vision, and he will destroy a lot of this base.
Yeah, behind that, it's going to come down to who can remax quicker. Only a 20-bill advantage at the moment. Recon pushing in under these double fortresses are going to deal so much damage here.
He does end up losing the enemy line. That's big because that stun, keeping on with the keeps, is a huge deal to try and defend this. Mista just using static emplacements to keep himself alive. It's pretty much just Myth units alive with a small group of heroes. Is it going to be enough to break here is the bigger issue. Medusa's also now starting to arrive.
Perseus on the back, right on top of those Myth units is going to be so clutch. Just dealing so much damage here. And under these double fortresses.
That's it. He gets it. 2-0. Mista will not be denied. Match
point already for the current king of Age of Mythology.
Yeah, Recon really tried to get something going there, but honestly, the army just wasn't even that big in that one location for the Lightning Storm, and usually, if you kill all the units of the opponent with Lightning Storm, you can maybe get on the tail end a couple economy, but like the gold mine wasn't in range, and I would have expected, all 10 of them to die, but it looked like the castle was kind of directly in between the two bases of Mista, and sadly, once those units died, there was nothing to hit really, just a couple buildings.
I think what Mista done a really good job with is that double fortress prep. A lot of players wouldn't have done that. They would have just done one to skew a goal because it feels really heavy to do that. But we saw that it bought him the necessary time. It broke up the fight in the correct way. Those Nemean lines got maximum stun potential to keep him underneath the keeps. And then on top of that, you have this beautiful play that I think he was leaning towards, which was when the Thunderstorm came in. I think he wanted to hop inside to protect his units. It didn't come into fruition, so Recon actually got the best case scenario. But that Earthquake, although it looked like there was a lot of farms still alive and things are good, the disruption on the backside stopped Recon from getting that next wave that could have given him the killing blow.
I feel like, to me, what really stood out in this game was that it seemed just like Mista was getting away with way more with way less. Like, he barely had any units at the start of the game.
It was like 32 to 3 military at one point.
Yeah, and it was just unable to push into those Sentinels, unable to push into the very good reactions of Mista there, and Recon had all those units and went for this big push, and it did look very scary for Mista for a moment there, but once again, the defenses were still standing, and what are you going to do? Like, chop away with the Minotaurs? It doesn't quite work.
Now, I'm just hearing in that we want to hear from all you fans at home because Riley, he's a bit of a historian, a bit of a brainiac. He has different ideas of what's cool to check out. So let us know actually at home what you'd like to see in this castle because there's still just so much that's unexplored. Are we going to be going to archery slits? Do we want to see the castle views? Merlins, Hill Defense, Player Lounge. I heard there's maybe a dungeon, but I guess maybe we can't see that yet. Ooh. Castle views, is that going to be more drone shots? I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I like those. Those are my favorites so far.
How many people right now going, what's Merlins?
I'm me. I'm like, what?
I kind of want Riley to do that now so you can explain it to everyone.
Wait, Riley, can you explain this?
I mean, maybe they want to...
It's not getting very many votes. So
I think they want to
maybe it's not going to be...
They kind of want to see Doubt, right? Player Lounge going in. It's probably chilling there. What an incredible set. I mean, I'm really hoping we at least get one game on the board for Recon. I'd love to see that, right? You know what I'd love to see here from Mista? Freer. I would honestly love to see Freer coming out in this third game. He's rated it so highly, I think it's time to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, he's rated it highly, but he still has such good stuff on the menu, right? He still has both Loki and Isis, which are, in my opinion right now, the two S tiers, right? And we'll see if Recon's able to hold against those.
I think what's impressive is how well he utilized Hades. I do have to go back to that whole point of the bigger army. Like, we credit the defense for Mista, but we have talked before about this idea that Recon, he puts Mista on a pedestal. He is his hero. Do you think maybe there was an element of that, like maybe slight hesitation because he gives more credit to Mista than he normally would another player?
Yeah, maybe. It seemed like he was really respecting the defense there, and I wonder if he needed to just use Resto and go, because what would the counter Resto be? Like, it would be on villagers and, like, one hero, right? There was nothing to defend there. It seemed like it could have been an opportunity to attack, but I don't know, it's hard. Sentinels deal a lot of damage, and the defensive layout there for Mista was really good. The gold was way in the back, so all you were doing was running through the defenses to get the villagers, and that never feels very good.
No, it kind of felt like he was in this situation of, oh, I'll poke, oh no, that's a bad idea. And what happens over time is you just realize you've lost the whole health bar, right?
Exactly.
And now you're going to have to resto anyway. I love the way he transitioned into that temple heal, but you saw how tricky it is to actually leverage that as the game goes on. I think that temple heal is useful at the beginning of Age 3, and then it kind of immediately falls off unless you are hard turtling in your base, which you can't afford to do in that matchup.
Yeah, well, especially when he's down so many vills, he kind of needed to either put on pressure or add a TC of his own. I was kind of expecting that follow-up TC at some point there, especially because he had map control, right? That was one of the main benefits of his setup, right? Was he had this map control. He can go for those offensive plays, maybe even take a forward TC and try and wall off the map, but it didn't quite pan out. He tried to get the faster age up, which did work to his benefit, but...
Okay, so it's in. We've confirmed it. We know where we're going. And the hilarity is Riley has to get his running sneakers on and head there really fast because we're about to check out what's been happening over in the player lounge.
I want to take you behind the scenes here at Castillo Almodóvar and show you an area I think you'll be very interested to see. It's where all the players hang out. I'm talking about, of course, the talent area. This is where the players come to relax and chill out when they're not playing on the main stage. Although, say chill, not all of these guys are taking it easy here. Some of them are sharpening their skills, honing their strategies, and as you can see, They are really locked in. And I tell you what, we've made sure the players feel right at home here in this area with the provision of their very own custom banners. Each one is unique for each player and they're all extremely cool, but some are very creative indeed. And if you enjoyed this little peek behind the curtain at Red Bull Wallaloo, we've got plenty of other behind the scenes places to take you. Where exactly, you may ask? You'll just have to wait and find out.
But whatever. I'm not like too.
We're back. We're back.
We're back.
We're not too what? We're not too hype. We need to get
We're
more
not too
hyped.
hyper just yet. It's happening.
2 games down, but potentially still free to go. You know, Recon, this is the point where he needs to get creative. This is the point where he needs to get different. This is the point where the innovation that we were alluding to with things like the Ra pick need to start showing themselves.
Yeah, we'll see if he tries to pull that out onto the Alfheim. I was thinking that might be.
You think
it.
Alfheim?
Yeah, it's so defensive.
Do
It's
you
just
think
so
that
good
beats-
for Ra.
Do you think that beats Freya though? Because I think that's going to be Freya.
I don't think it beats Freyr, no.
I
But I think
agree
you can
with
also
Mr.
push
Sports.
through. Like, I think like it's also tricky on Alfheim because like I've seen Mr. build these obelisks in the back on Alfheim, and if you don't catch them, like if you're not very attentive to those, he can do the Ancestors Eclipse. So if he goes Isis into Ra, that's a very good matchup for Isis.
Yeah, wait, we got clubs. AoE 1 fan?
Oh wow. You can see the player still prepping, getting ready.
You know, if you really want, you could probably furnish that trophy into a club.
Yeah.
That's the true
That's
challenge.
one way to do it.
You just have all the champions bring their trophies for a duel on top of the tower.
I kind of want to see someone like use that as the base of like a great sword and just put a massive metal sword coming out of the top, and you can just hold it. It's huge. Insane.
Maybe, you know what we needed? We needed slightly different trophies that when you put them all together like a transformer, you
Oh,
get like
yeah.
the Omega trophy.
It'd be hard to win all of them to be able to do that, but
I mean, if you've done it, you
someone will
deserve
do it eventually, maybe. Yeah. Red Bull Wololo 70.
Dow just coming out with his Zimmer frame.
He's got a robotic arm just playing. Oh man.
So let's get the draft back up because I think this is very important. This is a critical phase now. We talked about the potency of some picks. Isis and Loki still there. This would be wild. I don't want the 3-0, but imagine if he gets the 3-0 with Loki and Isis not picked, the most 2 potent picks in competitive play right now.
That would be very crazy, but yeah, like you're saying, he likes Freyr, and maybe he'll think it's the right matchup in the right moment. With the Ranos and Zeus off the board.
I've got a feeling Recon's going to feel comfortable in Mirage, and that is dangerous with Isis still available.
Yeah, and that could be really bad if it is. But we'll see how that goes.
So, you know, we've been talking
Alfheim.
a lot about Isis, right? And we did talk a bit earlier about it. Okay, so we got Alfheim. He's doing it. We've got confirmation in. It's going to be Freya, and we're going to get to see the new and improved Ra. The crazy part, though, is in this particular matchup, this can become more of a boom than a Zoom type game. But I need you all to get loud and proud because it's 2-0 on the stage. But I know you all want more Age of Mythology. Game 3 is ready to kick off. We have got Freya versus Ra, Recon and Magic for the 3rd time today.
Let's see it. Come on. You can see their hands. They're like,
Dude, look
they're
at the fans.
clicking.
I just love the fans every time.
Yeah,
for
the
this
2
guy.
fans, 1 on each hand. He's got to stay cool. Got to stay comfortable. Comfort is the #1 thing to being a great player.
Here we go.
Here we go.
We're in Alpine time. And immediately the Egyptians going on the forward for the scout. And so Recon, this is the moment that we've been waiting for. We need to see something different. We need to see something new. And Ra could be it. But meanwhile, Mister, he takes on the hardest challenges. He's that type of guy. Freya, the most complicated and weird to get right. God, in the game right now. Can he do it here?
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. And I was talking to Mista about this. There's several different ways to play Freyr. It seems some players think that it's always 2TC, right? Some players are like, oh, the way to play this god is you play 2TC. But, you know, he was talking to me and he said there's some ways to play it, right? There's more options than just 2TC, right? And we'll see if he plays this hyper aggro style that he was talking about.
Ooh, that could be big. Harmonious Necklace. Like, you've got an Egyptian player in the game, right? Gold, for those that don't know, gold is, I think it's actually the most important resource by far in the game for Egyptians.
Yeah, and we'll see how this pans out. Recon Raw is really kind of historic on Offline because you can see, like, look to the right there of his base. There's that second settlement. It's just tucked away into these cliffs. It's so safe. Now, this is a pretty open Offline map, all things considered. Oftentimes, y'all are going to have these cliffs in the middle of the map, really kind of bogging things down and making the map really wallable. But in this case, we got a very open generation, except for that TC on the right, which we're going to see if Recon goes for this 2 TC build.
It's tricky because Freya can very happily go for that or just go for H3, and that's really where this Civ starts to come online. It's also very difficult to aggress Freya at the end of the game because of that really cool god power they have.
Yeah, the Gloom Bursty. It's this big boar. It's both a hero and a myth unit. It does everything, basically. It just kind of, it plops down. It has essentially a shockwave effect. And, well, it's kind of attached by a big bungee cord to the TC it got dropped on. It's still a very potent defensive use. And I've seen actually Mista use this against me. He built a side TC against me when I wasn't looking because he had like a solid forward position with his infantry. He built a bunch of he built a TC there, then forward cast School and Bursty on me, and that felt really bad. I'll tell you that.
I mean, boars are also so entertaining to watch. You know, like boars to me, if I had to give them like a person at the party, they're the person with a tequila bottle in each hand on top of the table, just kind of like dancing around, going, "Let's have a good time." Very impactful as well if you can get them in the right position, and that initial summon can be so crippling. So, I think instead we're going to see Recon play it a bit more safe, a bit more defensive, and that's why he went for this forward scouting position. He wanted to know what Mista's intent was in this game first.
Yeah, interestingly, he's going for Bast, which definitely isn't bad. We've seen a style for Raw come out where with Bast you go and you get this Ecotech, which just makes your hunt one of the fastest food sources in the game if you are also empowering with the Pharaoh. And if you do that, it can work pretty well. But we'll see how this pans out. You can see that Pharaoh empowering the monument now new to Retold. This Pharaoh empowers the monument, and all the buildings around it get empowered by a priest.
Now remember, with empowering, the way it works is that it's going to increase what you'll get in terms of gathering when you drop off, or increase production rates. The cool thing when you play as this particular Civ, with Ra, they can actually supervise the monument instead. That will empower all buildings around at a 70% rate instead of 100%.
Yeah, and on the left side of your screen here, you're going to see Mista queue up a lot of techs. That's because Freyr's main benefit is that all techs are much, much cheaper, but they take a lot longer to research, so you'll have time to spot them as they come in.
And he gets the gold gathering faster. A nice tool to have in your arsenal. I'm not too surprised that you're not really going to get much contest. I feel like in this situation, it's a bit harder for Recon to just rush out for the relics compared to the Norse.
Yeah, where did he place that as Guardian Fortress? It's probably defending his gold, I would assume.
It looks like it's on the forward, actually. If we check the base of blue, I think he's actually set it up south of here, right?
Yeah, I think it's south.
Yeah, there it is. Coming in now.
Coming in.
It's really slow to arrive because otherwise that would be broken. But check this. Sphinx is around the back. Quick fingers out of Mista to dodge that tornado damage.
Yeah, it's really interesting here. With that third upgrade, the Sphinxes get so fast. I think it's to like 6.4 or something move speed, and it's really hard for the Hersiers here to keep track of them. It's going to be a big test of Mista's defense here.
Draugr, of course, can easily get kited. So I love this.
They could get walled in here.
Recon, yeah, if he gets walled in, this is a problem. He needs to Ringing Roses, but check what's happening. The walls are coming up, and this doesn't need to last long. It just needs to last long enough.
He tried to pop out.
The panic! The other wall coming in from the
Quick walls!
He's stuck.
Another quick wall!
This is huge! He needs to get out of here fast! This is not the fight he was looking for. The Hearses get the maim effect. Sphinx has been able to run away there, and this is a big deal because what Recon is looking for is that Eclipse play. He wants that moment where he can surge in and kill 5, 6, 7 workers in one blink.
Yeah, and those upgrades have come in for the Sphinx. It's a huge investment.
Are you kidding me?
Another wall off here.
This is huge. The Asgardian Fortress is almost done. Sphinx, nice tornado to get out there fast. He needs to keep
another
these guys alive.
quick wall. What is going on here, Mista? He's just putting on a clinic here, trying to keep this Cryo Sphinx in his base.
We have to remember that when you, to explain to people, when you hit with melee units, you do get a slight maim, so it slows down. But the funny thing is, you mentioned the Sphinxes, they have enough movement speed that even with that in mind, it's usually tricky to stick on top of them. So Recon, he's able to dodge death there, and it's so important. At this stage in the game, it can be difficult to generate enough favor to feel like throwing away 2 Sphinxes for nothing doesn't just end your game.
Yeah, and he has to keep up forward pressure. You look at that forward gold of his. He did grab that second TC behind the pressure here. Looks like another TC going to be coming in for Mista himself, just building it rather slowly here. The fortress on the front looks like it's going to be done soon.
Drago just getting in position to be a little bit annoying here. Not really what you want to be tornadoing into.
And now we have the Hyro Sphinx upgrade in. That is that final one, and Sacred Cats as well. We talked about this really good economy upgrade for Bast. It's just so cheap and so effective.
We'll allow him to prep the next transition, right? Because he's not just going to end on Sphinxes here. He has something else in mind. What do you think we're looking into next?
Well, I mean, you're going to have to do a harder farm transition because you haven't gone with Ptah, which has a really natural synergy with Rain, because Ptah can make your farms much cheaper. So you're going to have to kind of naturally farm transition, right? So you're paying full price for these farms, but once they're up, we will see that Rain God Power come in. And
I wonder if we do just see them now chill and both go towards that Age Freya. I wonder if that's kind of worrying in Recon's mind as well, because we keep mentioning that Freya comes really in the later phase of the game.
Yeah, but we're seeing these barracks, and well, it might be on the back of a heroic that he starts using these. I'm not quite sure. We talked about this a bit during the draft, and players often go for these mass barracks units nowadays with Raw. It seems to be it's new to me, basically. I've only played it myself like twice, so I haven't had enough time to really get a good feel for it, but I mean, you can just see how fast these are. It's insane.
So yeah, this Slinger build, right? Now that they've had some changes, they have divine damage added to them.
Yeah, with Ptah.
With Ptah, so
but here he's just going for the barracks units because it's just so solid all around.
So like, are you thinking he's going to maybe go, Axes here? Just Axeman, play a bit standard of a front line?
Yeah, he hasn't seen any cav yet, but we do see slings coming in regardless. This is really good against the throwing Axemen. They do counter them, but doesn't have that Ptah's Electrum Bullets tech at the moment. So you just need a few slingers here. You don't want to overinvest, because if you overbuild them, like there's kind of a saturation point where you're already one-shotting the Axemen, and that's really all they're going to be good for here until maybe some other techs come in for them.
Speaking of decks, it's on the way. Mista has clicked the magical button. He's going for that Age Free.
Beautiful rainbow. Just me?
He's pretty.
Look at that.
Oh. Funny thing is, like, you want to use this sooner rather than later, right? Because it impacts your opponent's farms as well, admittedly at a worse rate.
I mean, there's no farms on the side of Mista.
That's what I mean, right? So using it at this point, you know that a Norse player is not going to get anything from it.
Yeah, but the TC situation is actually looking very healthy. Like, Recon has gotten the macro he wanted behind this Sphinx aggression, and this TC on the side has been really safe. I mean, if there's a game for Raw to do well, it's here, but keep in mind, this is
Age up on the way.
Yeah.
What
Relic getting yoinked. Which relic is that? What is so important that this man would risk his life?
He's just Golem.
Wall hit points. I mean, actually kind of relevant on Alfheim. Oftentimes I kind of don't value this relic too much, but I mean here, like, when walls are going to be such an important element of the choke point.
It's important against the Sphinxes as well, right?
Oh,
like,
that's
although
that's actually really huge here.
We've bypassed the big point where Sphinxes can just GG the game straight away, but they're still a looming threat as we go deeper, just like a Centaur would be even. So definitely a good idea overall. But now we're heading to Age 3. Like, walk me through what we're expecting to see out of Recon here.
Well, with Recon, he's just going to try and keep macroing and get up a big army. I mean, eventually going to have to look into placing the Migdol, but again, the way that players have been playing Raw recently is to kind of just keep investing in these units until the Migdol transition is a bit safer. We'll see if he's able to place one right away. Some Chariot Archers would really do good here, but we'll see it. A big surround.
Yeah, not really what
take damage from that.
So bet coming through. And we have got...
Here's the rock.
This is kind of interesting now that I think about it. On this map, because of how defensive it is and how many cliffs there are, like, if you just have a full wall across the map, you're going to see the rock transporting in. You won't see him coming with this.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll get used for that. Oftentimes it's used as a glorified Pegasus, a very big Pegasus.
Which I'm sad about. I get why it's not overly good, because it would be kind of broken, right? Like, flying units have to be very carefully tempered in Myth. It's why we talk so much about Caladria, for example. So looks like he's going to scout with it. Pressure is coming in on the center just to deal with a few of the production buildings. He at least knows what the economy is. Genuinely, I'd love to see him just transport the Sphinx on the back there, get over the wall, and then force a split reaction out of Mista.
Yeah, Yeah, and we're going to be seeing an investment into the Petsuchos here.
Laser gators.
We'll see how it goes. The first elephant is out, the Migdol's up, but the gold on the north going to be pressured behind the army, so it's going to be an interesting position with two forces of Mista kind of split up here.
Yeah, it's got that rock giant, and it's very big. If you get the right positioning, that taunt, you can ruin an entire army, and there it is.
There it is.
He forces it out, he body blocks. The way this works is with the taunt, they're going to try to kill the rock giant, but they need to reach him. It's fantastic against melee armies.
Yeah, and he still has that Hailstorm to use here. It could be just massive in the right moment here. Recon keeping his army pretty grouped, could be susceptible to this if he overextends.
Locust is also available on the other side. We still have to remember that Eclipse never
Back
got
on the
popped.
gold.
Migdol is definitely a big problem here. Not easy to brute force in, especially if these laser gators just keep sitting between the east and the west side. They have such great range, and with a double Migdol, they're not easy to reach. Comes in now.
There's the Hailstorm. Right on the center of the army. The big rock giant taunt.
The stun, he will get the damage out onto the giant, but now from the west side, he's able to stab onto the back. Forces the garrison. He gets out. And the laser gators, they're struggling to get away from this, but they're not being target fired down just yet. Mista definitely has the military advantage still in the situation. The Migdol's trying to even this out a little bit, and the Hailstorm is forcing a reset deeper behind the lines for Recon. The military lead is building for the Greek. There's no front line anymore. The laser gators can't kill quick enough. He's gonna lose it all.
Some elephants pop out. This could be the way. This is still an offensive fight under the two Migdols. The Pharaoh and the Petsuchos are working away on the rock giant. It's almost going to go down, and are the reinforcements there?
There's another issue coming. Burgessi is on the way. The Migdols are going to start to get siege, so he will get that reset, but more ground is being given over. At the tail end, military is neck and neck. Eco's holding on. Recon, a fantastic hold there. And now, with the lofty and powerful elephants, the 3 crocodiles he kept alive, it's not going to be as easy for Mista to crack this strong point as it would have been just a moment ago.
Yeah, Mista very smartly here, waiting out the Eclipse there so the Petsobex don't just kill everything. But we'll see how it goes. The army coming forward for Recon. He's pushing in once again. Will it be enough?
This crocodile is going to be important. We have to remember that that's your best tool against these giants, because the issue you have otherwise, the stone guys, they're going to aggro these elephants, and we saw what happened earlier against melee units. They just couldn't fight, right? They got body blocked and they just died. So this is your only tool of really dealing with that powerful tool in the arsenal of Freya. We also have to keep in mind, he's still got the defensive god power, right? He can still spawn the ball to split this formation in an uncomfortable way.
Yeah, Recon with his tournament life on the line, looking to push in here. Equal eco, essentially, right? Slightly more military here for Recon.
Godseers doing it. Godseers are coming in. Can you get enough of them? On the side, we are going to get another taunt coming out. The fight is becoming a little bit split. Now, this is where Recon needs to calm down a bit, right? Send a few troops short, but don't split your army into 2. Try to keep most of them in one location and keep leveraging the fact that numbers are on your side.
The
Otherwise,
alligators!
the overextension might get you killed. Crocodiles out of position here. Villagers also gathering on the front side. And this time, you're dealing with god units that are ranged. They can snipe down these crocodiles one by one.
Yeah, the Goatiers are so good against these crocodiles.
The numbers,
But
though.
the front line wasn't there for Mr. Recon, pushing him back.
I feel like these guys are lost along like Burgessi over here. Great, you stay alive a long time, but you've got no support. You're not a damage dealer. You're a tank in this situation. Could this be it? Finally, it took 3 games, but Recon, he looks on the verge of getting on the board here.
His first score lead of the series. Could this be a game win for him?
Needs to get rid of this production. Don't allow a reset. Love the settlement claim. Remember, when you're playing Age of Mythology, it's not just about more villages, it gives you pop cap as well. And we're at a stage in the game where that is going to be the difference. 170 to 190 max right now.
Mista's on the back foot here.
He's taking all the settlements. I love this play from Recon. He's finally coming out of the shell. He usually calls himself a raccoon, but sometimes he can be more of a toe.
Oh man, and here's Mista. I think he might have about 1 good fight left in him here. No favor in the bank in order to really recast any of these potent god powers. He still has a heroic Gulimbursti cast to use. It could help turn the tides if he goes too deep, but only if.
It's awkward with things like elephants. You don't want to be casting it there, right? So you kind of just have to find this back line. You have to find these spears. Otherwise, it's not going to feel as impactful.
Man, I've been so impressed by Raw.
It's incredible.
In this game. This Barracks play has really come in clutch here for Recon. He's made it look so good.
And the choke point defense as well, like one of the big issues, there was that critical fight with the double Migdal, right? These laser gators, if they died, I think it's GG. But what he done so well, with such a lofty and hard to wield unit, he got the choke points to last. And here we go, Gullinbursti comes out. He's gonna look strong and scary, but watch what happens. As he walks along, like me trying to go up a hill, I get very tired very fast. Crocodile is gonna get knocked away.
The Slingers.
Mate, I think he just helped him escape.
The Slingers going down though on the back there. The Raiding Cav gonna get on top of the gold. Did a Recon maybe overestimate his position here?
He's got the Migdals again though. We've seen this before, right? This is where the overextension can begin to settle in. 87 militaries to 118. He's rebolted the army, but now he needs to surge forward. Find these valuable targets like a solo elephant, like an alligator. Take them out. The boar is absorbing so many of these blows, and this could be a flood through beyond the Migdals towards the economy.
Yeah, there's just so many Migdals dotting the center of the map here. Mista might have to retreat. The reinforcements do come in for Recon. The boar's about to time out.
And after that, I mean, God powers, like the beautiful thing when you play as the Norse is you can fight to generate God powers, but because he's trying to add in so many units, like he doesn't have that much in reserve, right? He doesn't have much favor to utilize, especially when everything is just so expensive. Another one of those boars would be 300. He's nowhere near ready going at H4. If he had that, Inferno could be the tool to just win this game, but he's being pressured hard. He has to lock in the age, and you're starting to see the difference that this population gap can make.
Man, if Mista comes back from this, I'll eat a shoe. This is still going to be crazy, though, because he's starting to even out the military count when his economy is still 10 units down. He's taking out the TC in the south. He's taking out the Migdals in the middle. There's a huge group of units here trying to come defend and reinforce this, but it's too little, too late. The Raiding Cav just going to run away. 4 Rock Giants in the center of the field here. A 5th one coming to reinforce. Are there enough priests here?
If he can get forward here, if he can bait onto the chariots, they won't be able to kite away. This should be big. Taunts are going to be used. Not able to do enough damage now, but these Rock Giants are pretty damn good at tackling into the Migdals. Stun's going to come out. He does catch up the crocodiles, but the elephant is going to save their life here. Able to stand their ground. That gold vein and tree line is the one thing keeping this squishy backline from being munched on.
Yeah, but I think Mista might like it a little bit more. The Chariot Archers, they're not focusing down these throwing axemen. The front line for Recon is melting. There are no priests to kill the Rock Giants. The fortress on the right going to go down. Another taunt comes through.
And if he gets a little bit deeper here, you can hold him in position. The Axemen are really starting to carry this Recon. Is it slipping away? Still a slight eco lead, but his position, it needs so many villages to keep it alive that he isn't as strong as the eco bar would show. Another taunt comes out. More alligators going down. The Chariot Archers are starting to be thinned out here. And behind this, there's a new wave of cavalry to come through for Mista.
Yeah, and the Rock Giants, as soon as they clean up this fight, they could just start eating away at the building with this upgrade. It's actually quite funny. They just sort of grab a piece of the building, chew on it, and it heals them up a little bit, so it makes them very effective at tanking down these fortresses. Well, the Migdals here, but the Raiding Cavalry, the unit's going to surround it. The Chariots have to retreat. Another fortification going to be lost here. A shared gold mine. Kind of funny.
And it looks like we might be getting trades set up on the north side as well from Freya, because there are some buildings in that north corner, so there's potential for that down the line. But in the meantime, Migdal is going to be forfeit, and this opens the floodgates to the south side of the map, where you still got Recon trying to gather here. Could this be it? Could this, despite his best game so far, still not simply be enough? The Rock Giant count is so untenable.
The Raiding Cavalry raiding party is in for Mista. He's reclaimed the score lead confidently, pushing back another Migdal. The Chariot Archers, are they going to be enough?
Last stand. This is it. You lose this Migdal, all flood doors are open, and he will flood in. Do or die. Mass Chariots, not the best thing to stand their ground. They need the ability to kite, but there they are, munching on the rocks from the Migdal to stay alive. The damage is adding up. Another fortress is going to go down, and it simply seems like he doesn't have enough units to blitz through these bad boys.
Another taunt.
There's another one behind this at the back. He still hasn't used it. He can lock him in position, and he's just countering down. The Chariot Archers can't stand their ground. Half are already decimated. The military lead is swelling up, and Mista will not be denied his 3-0.
He's got it. He's got this for sure. Back against the wall. Gonna back up just for a moment, but Recon, all he's got left is a couple barracks. The elephants have been so crucial to holding his ground in these fights, and all the Migdals are down. except for this one, which is way off in the north.
Okay, it wasn't even trade, it was just houses up there. He's not blocking anything that matters. Another Migdal being targeted though. He's stripping the gold. It's the lifeline of Egypt. If they don't have this, they don't have chariot archers. They don't have
Another raid!
They don't have a hope in hell. Another raid comes in on the gold. The reaction is slow from Recon. Although he may have an eco lead, it doesn't feel like he has an income lead in this one.
Is that Mythic Age coming in behind this?
Are you
from
kidding
Mista?
me? All right. I want to see a comeback because we're really seeing a comeback. But all I'm going to say, bare minimum, Recon, don't tap out before those gold powers come through.
Recon might go down in a blazing glory.
Raids are going to stop. Apparently he's like, no, this feels unfair. They're not defending themselves. He thought there was going to be a pull away. He realizes how glorious an advantage it is. We're going to get more of the storms coming through just to actually give that bolster to his food income to try and keep Recon alive. But he needs these probe attacks. This is actually the first time we've seen him get a real hit towards the economy. But it's being returned in favor. Any reactionary units are being taunted out. There's a second wave on the way. Recon has spread himself so thin like a tiny knob of butter across a whole loaf of bread.
Recon's got his back against the wall. He's going to try and micro these chariots, but I think as soon as he sees Vidar come in, what is he going to do?
The good news is because he's split like this, he hasn't got his army in one location, and that's where the Inferno would just end the game. So in some ways, weirdly enough, there is a sliver of hope for Recon, even when this age up completes.
Yeah, but the TC is going to get taken down in the north pretty soon here, and that could open up for the first time Mystic getting a TC advantage in this game.
Rock Giants have been carrying this game at this stage. The work they put in, the priest reactions are finally starting to come through, but you got to ask, was it too slow? Was it too late? It's so difficult as well because at this stage they're not condensed to one location. They're starting to join in on the raids. And those raids are reaching deep, even towards the starting town center of this stage. Finally able to deal with them on the north side. A reboot for the settlement. More Migdals going up. He's not done yet. Recon says just one more fight, one after the other, to try and get back in control.
We see the Inferno!
The Inferno? Where are we going? Where are we going?
On the TC!
Boom, baby! No TC for you! The army at least able to dodge. Recon was given a warning shot across the bow there. And now it might be
coming in. We see Mythic on the backside though for Recon as well.
Has he got the time? Osiris could be big here. Could give him that reset.
Son of Osiris is super potent in these big fights.
Especially in the choke points, because if you can't reach him, he just stands there zapping you down. And if we're being totally real, Mista's approach has been a mixture of very tanky units and then just zerging.
It will cost him economy though if he has to bring that guy to the front. Meanwhile though, another taunt comes in, but it would be a great answer to these Rock Giants, which so far, just a couple priests at a time, haven't been able to take down this Rock Giant mass, which has kept Mista in this game. He's clawed back now with a 10k score lead. Every eco upgrade under the sun coming in, every military upgrade going to be in soon. He is soon going to be inevitable.
Southside raid again. Like, there's so much focus for Recon this north to try and hold on to that. He's giving everything over. So Son of Osiris is in. He takes the hit to the economy and he's going to take a gut blow on the south side as well. About 10 villagers going down there. It's a 20 eco lead now for Mista. Recon needs to take advantage of this to just build more military, but it's hard to do when you've got 45 less maximum population.
Gonna try and take a huge fight up here, trying to clean up the forces of Mista. Mista split up, tried to take, he got a little greedy. He's taking the north and the south, but will it be enough? Osiris on the back here, gonna be blasting those lightning bolts into the main forces here, taking out the myth units of Mista in the north, but is it gonna be enough? Fafnir keeps dealing so much damage. The throwing action from behind, Son of Osiris.
He comes in, and remember, this guy can't be healed. On top of that, the priest weren't zapping down those myth units quick enough. Fafnir is so tanky as well, and the Axemen wave may just crush any hope here for Recon. Son of Osiris is down, and you may need to wait a millennia to see a second.
Wow. The fight goes so in favor of Mista.
Mista with the 3-0 and come back in that final game that is worthy of a Red Bull Waterloo champion.
Incredible performance.
Unstoppable. Freya, everyone else looks at this. God, they say, that doesn't fit Norse. That's not what you want to do. He believed every step of the way, and it didn't even need a giant fiery wolf to end it. But look at the emotion. Look at the feelings. These two,
He's
like
telling
brothers.
him about the game. He just told him about the
He
game.
does this all the time, even in these moments. Mate, you're meant to be lifting up that trophy. You're meant to be being proud of the moment, but we'll give him moments to digest that. What an insane deciding game.
That was an incredible, incredible game 3 there. I'm sad we don't get to see more of it. It was just so good.
It delivered though. We said Freya was going to come in with something special. Both of them came in with something special, but at the end of the day, there can be only one. Once a grand champion at Red Bull